This is Shawn Irwin, your youth director with Darts Ontario. Welcome to episode 18 of Darts Ontario Let's Talk Darts. I wanted to talk to our youth players from past and present to see how they got into darts and their story to help inspire the youth dart players of today. Thank you to our sponsor, SSS Canada, for all their support in the Darts Ontario organization. Go to their Facebook page to see the high-quality custom dart shirts, which you can order for your team or individually. I'm with Keifer Durham, formerly of the Barrie Youth Dart League and two-time Team Ontario member. Thank you for taking the time to answer some questions so the dart community can know more about Keifer Durham. So how you doing today, Keifer?
Not too bad, Shawn. How are you, buddy?
Oh, great. Thanks so much for doing this to help inspire the youth of today playing darts. So tell us, how did you get started playing darts and how old were you?
Well, I guess I started with, my parents have always played darts. Like my mom and my stepdad, they played darts when I was growing up and whatnot. And so did my grandparents and my uncles and whatnot. So it was kind of like a big family thing. I started throwing darts and just kind of playing around in the basement when I was about 6. And then I actually started playing competitively in a league and in a youth league when I was 12 years old. That's when I first started playing.
So who inspired you to play competitively in the league?
I would say my parents were a big thing. They kind of just, I played a lot of other sports when I was younger, and they said, do you want to try and play darts? And I went out to a blind draw. We used to have Friday night blind draws in Barrie, and they asked if I wanted to try it out, and I said sure. And they said, there's a league that starts on Sundays. Do you want to do it? And I said, yeah, let's do it. So I started playing, and it's kind of just gone from there. So.
Well, that's great. That's been a great, successful league up there in Barrie for sure.
Yeah, it has been.
And darts is a little bit less expensive than other sports out there.
Little bit less, yeah.
Now, how often do you or did you practice during the season, and did you ever practice in the off season?
Absolutely. I think when I was playing youth, I didn't work or anything like that. So it was just literally I'd go to school and then I'd come home and I'd be on that board as soon as I got home. I'd do any homework, whatever, and then I'm on that board. So I was probably on the board 6-7 hours every night. In the off season, I was, I dedicated a lot of my summertime to playing darts, and I didn't really hang out with a lot of my friends or anything like that. So I played probably about 8 hours every day, just because I had the drive for it, I had the passion for it, and I wanted to try and see how far I could go. Now I'm on the board every day, 3 hours every day.
That's great. Sounds a little bit like myself when I was 15, 16 years old and playing 5 hours a day. And as soon as I'm home from school, homework, get on that board and practice. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, how do you make practicing fun? Because it's never as good as a real game, but you still have to practice, but you have to stay focused.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I don't do the same thing every time. I have a whole practice routine that I do. So, when I first get home, I kind of just settle in, whatever. And then when I start to practice, I'll do a little bit of, I'll just throw out the board for a little bit, not really aiming at anything. I'm just loosening up my arm. And then once I get into it, I'll go around the world doing my doubles. And then I'll play 121 or I'll play 170. And then that's when I go on to my Dart Connect and I'll play against the robots that are on there. And I'll play 501 or cricket or whatever. And I just kind of change it up every time I practice, just to kind of keep it different and keep me always just either working on doubles or working on triples or working on my scoring. So that's how I keep it fun, at least. But yeah.
Well, there's so much ways of practicing, because darts is not just throwing at the board, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you prepare yourself before a big match, getting yourself focused on that match?
I'm a big music guy. So what I do is when I'm there, I go to a board kind of away from everybody else. I put in my headphones, turn it up as loud as I possibly can. And I just throw at the board. I'll play 121 up until my match. And that way I'm just working on my doubling, my scoring. And I kind of just zone in. I kind of just get out of my own head and just zone into my zone. And that's when I'm ready for it. That's how I know.
Well, we know darts is a very emotional game, so we have to control those emotions during the big games.
Absolutely.
Now, what's the best part of competing for you, and what's the most important thing about the game of darts?
I think the social aspect of it, like I said, I played a lot of sports when I was younger, and I feel like, with hockey and other sports, there's not as much of a social aspect to it, right? Especially like when I was playing youth, I would notice, if I beat somebody or whatever, I'd notice that they'd start following me around and watching how I progressed in the day. And I thought that was the coolest thing, because you don't see that in other sports, right? So I think the social aspect of it, and just you're always having fun, you're always just joking around, being with friends, and just having a good time, just throwing darts. So I think the social aspect of it is probably one of the things that just kept me going with it. It's just, I love it. It's so much fun.
Now, we all know we don't win all our games, but how do you stay focused and concentrate on that next match, especially if you're in a round robin play and you go down one match, but you need to stay focused for that next match?
I think I just kind of, going round robin, it's different, right? It's different than straight knockout. You have a different mentality, right? So in round robin, you lose that first match. Say you got 8 of the guys you got to play. You have 7 more matches you got to go, right? So for me, I just kind of say, you know what? You lost your first one. You use that as warm up. Go get the next few. I just kind of say, like, every game is different. Every game is a new game. So you just kind of get the first one out of your head and just keep going.
Now, what's the one thing you like to do after a good performance and your match is over?
I usually go get food, because I usually don't eat when I play darts. When I play, I'm so focused, I'm so dialed in, and usually I'm pretty nervous, so I don't like to eat. So as soon as I've played that big match, or I've had a really successful day, I immediately go get food, because I'm usually pretty hungry.
Well, that's important to eat for sure. That's nutrition is a very important part of it, and a good night's sleep the night before.
Absolutely, that too. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of your history as a youth player with Darts Ontario. At Zones in 2011, you finished joint third, and in 2013, second behind your brother Caleb. At the Youth Provincials in
Yeah,
2011, you became provincial champion, winning over your brother.
I
Take
did.
us through that match, knowing you already made Team Ontario, but here you are on stage battling your brother.
That was honestly probably one of my favorite moments in darts. I remember, because I was 2 boards down from my brother when I played my match, and I won my match, and I just remember seeing, like, everybody just watching my brother. And as soon as he hit that double, I went and tackled him to the ground. And in that moment, nothing mattered. I knew we had both made it. It was like one of the proudest accomplishments for me and him. So when we hit that stage, there was no pressure. I think I started the match and I opened up with a 3 in front of like 400 people. So for me, like for me and my brother, it didn't matter. We both just accomplished something that a lot of people haven't. We made Team Ontario like our second year playing, and it was just a really, really enjoyable moment for both of us. So I don't think it really mattered who came out on top or whatever. It was just, we were both happy just to make it.
Your parents must have been so proud watching the two of you on stage.
I think my mom cried. I'm pretty sure we all cried, to be honest. We kind of just went into like a big group hug and just kind of cried. It was a good time.
Great memories. Now, in 2013, once again, you were the provincial champion. You had a great run at nationals that year as you finished senior male doubles and singles joint third, but mixed doubles, you finished first in Canada with Oceana Watson. Also,
Yeah.
you finished first place in senior male singles in the bursary shoot. Take us back to the 2013 nationals and the experience versus 2011.
I think for me, it was just when I made team the first time and we went to Alberta, I think it was a whole new experience to me. I'd never been to anything like that before. So I didn't go in with the expectation of like trying to win or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure I was the only person that came home without a trophy, which was fine for me. So going into 2013, I had practiced a lot. I started traveling more around the tournaments and whatnot. So going into 2013 provincials and going into the nationals, I think for me, I was really focused. I knew I did a lot of practicing, and I knew that I was capable of winning. So we had a really, really solid team that year, and we kind of just all just played off each other's emotions and played off each other's hype. So it was really, really fun. We all really, really enjoyed that time.
Well, you had some great times in the youth program, but as so many of the players, they become an adult. And it's so different in the adult program than the youth. But tell us about the transition going into adults versus the youth program.
Oh, I knew wholeheartedly that I was gonna keep it going. So I think going from youth to adult, I had already started playing a bunch of tournaments around my local area where I was allowed to play against adults, and I would go to the adult zone shoots as well, because we like our youth league hosted bake sales and whatnot to try and raise money for our youth league. So I would go to these adult zones and I'd go up to some of the top players there and I'd be like, hey, I want to play you. Let's go. And I'd just play practice matches against them all. So I think that really helped with the transition of going from youth to adult, because I'd already played most of these guys. So it made it that much easier going from youth zones to adult zones to adult provincials to adult tournaments all around, right? So I just kind of stayed focused and kept the same level head I had and went for it all.
Now, going through your adult zone tournaments, you finished 2015, you finished 5th, 2016, 11th, and 2017, you finished 1st, and 2019, 2nd. So you've done some really great darts at the zone shoot. Tell us about playing the adult provincials compared to the youth provincials.
I mean, it's definitely like a bigger challenge, and there's more competition for sure. And I kind of knew that going in, that it wasn't going to be, it's not something easy to do. Like these guys are all, they all travel tournaments and play tournaments and whatnot. So I knew kind of going into it that I was going to have a lot of work to do. And I think I just kind of just stayed focused and practiced a lot for sure, because I knew, our zone was one of the toughest zones to get through for sure. We had the likes of Gord Mills, Guy Connolly, Dave Switzer, all those guys, right? So all those guys have been top players for a long time, and here I am as a young kid coming in, trying to do the best I can. But no, it was really good, and I think every year I've just tried to get better and better. So.
Well, we've talked about the provincials, nationals. Is there any other success and memories in darts that you care to share, either as a youth or adult player?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, now that I'm an adult, I make my own money, so I kind of just travel wherever I can. So I play a lot of tournaments now. I'm heavily involved with the CDC, the Championship Dart Circuit. I've been playing that for, I think this is my 4th year now. I started that as they did an evolution tour, which was like a 16 to 23-year-old. I went into that. I played that. I won that. And then I've kind of just played the CDC circuit for the last little bit. I went and played a PDC World Youth Championship qualifier in 2017. I won that. So I went over to England and I represented Canada in the World Youth Championships. Was probably one of my favorite moments of my life and one of the most exciting moments of my life playing darts. Just to have the chance to go over to England and compete against some of those tough players and some of the top players in the PDC is just, it's mind blowing. It's such a crazy experience. And I took that experience and I brought it home. And I think that mentality that I had over there has helped me grow into the player that I am today. So now I'm still traveling the world, traveling North America, and playing as much as I possibly can.
That's great to hear. And what are your goals for the new season, and how will you work towards reaching those goals?
I think my main goal is to try and win one of the CDC championships. Eventually, I want to try and get over to the World Championships as well for the adult side of it. It's something that I've been chasing since I was 12 years old. Watching darts on TV, I wanted to be one of those guys up on stage, and I'm happy to know some of the guys. Jim Long, Matt Campbell, John Part. I know all those guys, and I've played against them all. So just knowing that I can play against these guys, I know in my heart and in my mind that I can eventually be one of those guys and be on that stage at some point. So I think that's one of my main goals. And if that happens, then, who knows, maybe I'll go to Q school and try to get my my PDC tour card and try and go pro. That's the ultimate goal right there, is try to make it as a pro player over there.
Speaking of pro players, and even not a pro player, many players are sponsored. Tell us about yourself. Have you been sponsored? Have you been asked, anyone to help you out like that?
Yeah, I do. I have a few sponsors actually. I'm actually wearing one of my signature shirts. Magic Wear is my apparel sponsor. They do all my jerseys for me, so I have all my signature jerseys through them. I have a flight and barrel sponsor, which is Condor. Condor is my flights, and Trinidad is my barrels. Then I have a few other sponsors that just kind of help me out while I'm traveling. Bullseye News, which is owned by Rick and Catherine. They're usually down at the adult provincials as well. I have my own clothing company, which is called Dart Life or Durham Doubles, which is on my Facebook page if you want to check that out. So that helps me out as well. Maximum Darts, Tito Global, all those guys, they all help me out, and they're a really, really big support system for me, and they provide me with the best stuff that I can play with to succeed. So I'm really really appreciative to have them. And of course, my wife is probably one of my biggest support systems for sure. It's not easy to just join a guy who wants to play darts and for a living and whatnot. So she puts up a lot of my traveling and watching me throw sharp pointy things at the board. So having her on board is a big thing for me for sure.
That's a huge support if your spouse is there with you, helping you with your dream. So
Yeah.
You played other sports as a youth. What sports did you play, and do you play any more sports now?
I played hockey, soccer, baseball. I did ultimate frisbee when I was in school. Basketball, volleyball. I did pretty much everything that you could possibly think of. And out of all those sports, the only one I stuck with is darts. So I don't play anything else now. I just put my full energy into work and my full energy into darts. So it's hard to balance both of them, but I do a pretty good job of it. So.
Now, do you play darts now in a league or just online darts? And tell us about the experience of the online darts situation.
I used to play in a league. I played in a couple leagues when I was living in Barrie. I don't live in Barrie anymore. I live in Blue Mountain now. So traveling to leagues and whatnot, there's not really any leagues around me now. So I don't play any leagues right now. But I am doing a lot of online stuff, especially during the pandemic. I played in a CDC online league. I played in a Summers league that Justin Juice Ryan hosted. And I play in pretty much every online tournament I could possibly get into. So play a lot of online darts, and it was a pretty difficult transition from playing live darts to playing online. It's it's a different mentality for sure. You don't have the pressure, you don't have the nerves. You're kind of just thrown in your slippers and your track pants at a with a webcam, right? So for me, it was really difficult for me to adjust to that. Just I like the pressure, I like the nerves. It helps me play well. I play really well under pressure, so for me, it was a big adjustment, especially just being in my house and just through a webcam. So, but I've enjoyed it. I have. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, I think that's the way to do it right now with COVID here. So,
yeah.
Now, one of your favorite matches was against your brother, but do you have a favorite opponent you love playing against? And if there's one player in the world you'd love to play, who and why?
Honestly, I love playing everybody. I don't kind of go into a match thinking, I hate playing this guy. I've played a lot of people over the 13 years I've been playing darts. So I kind of just enjoyed every single match, and I kind of go into every single match just with the expectation of just doing my best and having fun. I have a few buddies that I spar against. Ken McNeil is one of the big guys that I usually spar against online and whatnot. I think he's in Alberta. But he's been a big help, especially during the pandemic and just doing online stuff. I think one of my favorite players I would want to play, honestly, I think I'd want to just sit down with Phil Taylor and pick his brain. He's been, I know he's retired and whatnot, but he's been one of the players that I grew up watching. And, I'd like to just talk to him about what his experience and what it was like to be 16-time world champion. It's not an easy accomplishment that he's done. I don't think anybody's going to ever catch him in world titles for sure. So I'd like to just pick his brain and see how he had the tough time that he had going through that.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of history with him playing darts.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always improving in life and everything we do. What's the one thing you want to work on for yourself to help you get to the next level?
I think for me, it's just the biggest thing for me for darts was my mental game. It was playing youth. I would get really frustrated if I played bad, and sometimes that would show, and it would kind of just throw me off the entire day. So I think for me, growing up and becoming an adult player and whatnot, that was the biggest thing I had to work on, and I'm still working on it to this day. So the mental game, the mental aspect of it, I have the skill for it. That's not the issue. It's definitely the mental game and just trying to stay focused and you know, when you go up and you shoot a 45 or you shoot a 30 or whatever against it in a big match, you just kind of want to just get that out of your head and just, you know, refocus and dial back in. So that's been the biggest thing for me. That the toughest thing for me is just keeping that mental game tight.
Well, that ties into the next question, which would be advice for the youth to follow your footsteps. And I think the big thing is the mental game and not getting angry. Sometimes when you know you can shoot so well and then you have some bad games, you get down on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And like I said, I was really bad for that when I was in youth. You know, I'd get really frustrated at myself, and you know, I was my worst critic. You know, so and I still am to this day. You know, I'll go. I actually played a tournament last weekend. You know, on the Saturday I did really well, and the Sunday I didn't do as well, and it was, you know, played a big part of my mental game, and I kind of just sat there and thought, you know, what was different from Saturday to Sunday, right? So, you know, I think the advice to the younger kids is, you know, every day is a new day, every match is a new match. You know, you could win one match and play lights out, you could lose a match and not play so good, but you know, you just got to look at it and just try and stay focused, try and have fun. That's what darts is all about, is just having fun, enjoying that experience, especially playing youth and going to provincials and zones and whatnot. Just try to make as many friends and have as much fun as you possibly can while doing it. And, you know, if you have a bad game, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you know what you can do, you know what you're capable of. You know, just go into every match as it's a new match, for sure.
Well, that's great advice. Really appreciate the time here. We wish you luck, Keifer, for reaching your goals, and hopefully we see you at some tournaments and, of course, provincials next year if everything works out.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Shawn. Appreciate it, buddy.
That was great talking to Keifer Durham. Lots of history with this young man, and I'm sure he's going to do really well in the future. Make sure you go to our website at www.dartsontario.ca to find out more about our organization, and go to our Facebook page and hit like to get all the recent updates. Are you a current or former youth player of the Darts Ontario program? Would you like to be on one of our episodes? Please email me at youth@dartsontario.com. This is Shawn Irwin, your Darts Ontario Youth Director, and make sure you check out our next interview on episode 19 of Darts Ontario Let's Talk Darts. Our next guest is a former Toronto Youth Dart League player and made nationals 3 times as a youth and first time as an adult. She has made nationals. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.